What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music. And today on my show, I have my mother. So the reason why I had my mom on is to kind of talk a little about my musical journey. But I felt like it was too self-glorifying to kind of talk about that. So I kind of wanted to talk with my mom and get her perspective on some of the things, as well as talk with her about her love for music, artists that she likes, things that she enjoys when it pertains to music. So I think this is a interesting look at me, but through my mom's eyes. So sit back, relax. If you'd like to be a guest or you have a show idea for my show, hit me up on Twitter at Podcast of Blue or Facebook and Instagram at Blue Presents Podcast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents Podcast where I discuss all things music. And today, my very, very special guest is Mama!
Hi.
Yes, my mother, Maria Victoria Garcia, is on my show today. And Mom, you are like any other guest. So the first question is, what are your top 5 favorite artists?
Oh, wow. First of all, hello, everybody. I want to say within the last about 20 years, I'm going to go with the usual Whitney Houston, Patti LaBelle, Anita Baker, Mariah Carey back in the day, not the now Mariah Carey. Yeah. And as far as groups go, Heart, Queen, White Lion.
Oh, she's getting into the weeds there.
yeah, back in the day.
All right, Mom. And so like there's a lot of things we could talk about, but we're going to talk about you for a little bit here. We're going to talk about your earliest experiences you remember with music and what they were, whether they were in the church or they were at home. What were your earliest experiences with music?
My earliest experience with music was with at home with my grandmother, on my mom's side, who loved to sing. I have understood that my biological mom, used to love to sing as well. And she had her own little show at a restaurant or something like that. And he's from the 30s and 40s and 50s music. I was born, as you know, I was born in 66. So I was born midway. And then with my aunts, listening to Gene Pitney, Michael Jackson and the Jackson Fives, all these artists from that era. And it was awesome. And then later on, when I became, before I had you, in the beginning of the 80s and whatnot, and then it was a lot of Spanish music. Yeah, I was into a lot of salsa and merengue and stuff like that. But I still loved all my American artists and stuff like that. And then when you guys were little and we moved to Massachusetts, I was really big into Cyndi Lauper and Madonna and all these other great ladies and gentlemen that were in that time. And then as it evolved, Boyz II Men, The Time, and things like that. And I also thought that I was a singer myself. And I truly, honestly sound like a drowning cat in the shower.
So from that, so kind of in that same vein, what's an experience you remember that brings up like a good memory or a good moment in your life as it pertains to music? What is something like an experience in music that kind of, when you like, whether it was a concert or whether it was hearing somebody sing for the first time, or what was an experience that kind of gives you a great memory?
I want to say when I brought you guys, when we moved over we were in New York. We were there for a few months before I came to Massachusetts, and we settled here. It was around the time that Mariah Carey was coming out, and she had quite a few songs that I really truly loved. And Patti LaBelle and Anita Baker. Their love songs were amazing, but Patti LaBelle had a couple of gospel songs, and I was just learning about gospel, R&B gospel, so to speak. And I'm trying to remember her name now. That she's a pastor, but she's a singer also. The one that sings green beans, potatoes, and tomatoes.
Oh my God! Yeah. I know you're talking about. Yeah, I think everyone knows that meme.
Yeah. So I was used to the Elvis Presley type gospel singers. Elvis Presley, there was a point in time that he has quite a few gospel songs, and there were quite a few songs of his, and Two Hands is one of them. I believe it's called Two Hands on the Cross.
You know what I find interesting, though? I find interesting that a lot of like the gospel singers of today are sometimes even better than some of the singers that are quote unquote popular, and they have the vocal range that some of these artists wish they could have, but because it's not popularized music, they're not given the credence or the recognition for having such vocal range. You know, unless you're
Yolanda Adams, Kirk Franklin, it's mostly his gospel band group in the back, but he can honestly sing. I've heard a few things, and like I said, you got quite amazing artists out there when it comes to the gospel world. And that I absolutely love. And right now I'm having an old timers moment because I can't remember now.
So let me ask you another question then. At what age did you really think you really started to enjoy music? You maybe started to respect it? Because I've always remembered growing up that music was always kind of a part of our household, whether it was you cleaning, whether it was you cooking dinner, whether it was just a Friday night and we were just trying to hang out. What age do you think that you started to really enjoy music itself?
I think I got mostly into it after when you and your sister were around you were around 2 or 3 years old. When we had moved to Boston. Okay. And we lived in Boston for the 2 years that we were in Boston. And you know that James, may he rest in peace, used to take us to Harvard Square.
Yes, ma'am.
And there were a lot of freestyling artists out there, you know, and whatnot. And then when I came to Springfield and, you know, I was with your baby sister's dad. He, you know, we would working at clubs, you know, doing security and stuff. And I got into Jamaican music. And I really got into that genre of Jamaican music. I had never heard of it before or really gotten into it. I like the beat, but not really. And that's when I really, really got into it when you guys, and I made sure that, you guys enjoyed a plethora of different music, and I think that's one of the things that influenced you.
So really quick, because I don't want you to lose that thought there, what were some of the artists that you and Gravan did security for? Just name a couple.
We actually did A Tribe Called Quest. We actually did oh, Jesus Christ. He did Vendela. I didn't get to do, I think I got to do Vendela, but I wasn't in this. Tribe Called Quest, Naughty by Nature. Oh my gosh. There were quite a few.
I was going to say, I know there's a DJ in there because I remember seeing that picture of him. I remember seeing that picture.
Yeah, DJ.
Kid Capri.
Kid Capri, thank you.
Kid Capri.
Kid Capri. I was actually pregnant with Gabrielle.
That was the first memory I have of you, and you have that picture with him. So I kind of was just like,
I was actually pregnant with Gabby in that, and I actually sat on his lap, and he looked at me like, "Really, chick?" It was funny though. He's a really, really cool dude, and it was at the Waterfront. Mm-hmm. It was at the Waterfront. It's no longer there. Mm-hmm. And we used to do quite a few shows there. Was it Elephant Man that was there? There was a couple of Jamaican artists, well-known artists that came from over there and did shows there. Patra was one of them.
That is.
Patra, look up Patra. I'm trying to remember one of her songs, but she was cool as hell.
Any scary moments? Any moments where like there was like we don't know what this kind of situation, whether it was like dealing with an artist or dealing with fans of an artist?
We were at the Duggan. Was it Duggan? The little center on Walnut or near Walnut. Mm-hmm. We had a free community show, and I believe it was either Naughty by Nature or Tribe Called Quest. I think it was Naughty by Nature was there. Mm-hmm. And I got a few pictures. I should have popped out a few pictures. And they were actually smoking weed like in the open, and we have mad Springfield police officers in there. Mm-hmm. And we're like, listen, and then a fight broke out, and we had to jump on stage and grab the artists. That's crazy. Push them into a back room until the melee calmed down and whatnot. And but it was, and then another time, some Jamaican artist that was at the Waterfront also. There's always somebody that messes up the fun. They were having an incredible show, and as a matter of fact, David, one of Lourdes, Lourdes and Sonia and them.
Yes. The
cousin, David, mm-hmm. He got into music. I happened to take him at an open mic night. I took him with me because mm-hmm. I still think to this day that this kid got skills. Mm-hmm. And now he's in his 40s, and we've talked a few times throughout the years. And one of the things that he lets me know is that, the reason why he is in music is because I believed in him, and he kept going because I believed in him, mm-hmm. and whatnot. So, but no, going back to that one particular time, it was another melee over there, and I got hit mm-hmm. with a brick, and I thought I got shot because there were shots ringing out. Mm. And we had this guy named Little John. Now, you know how tall Gabby's dad is. You know how tall Gravan is.
He's like 6'5", 6'6",
something like that. Yeah. 6'4", something like that. Mm-hmm. So this guy was taller than him. He was close to 7 feet. Mm. And he was huge. Mm-hmm. And when I went down, and I was screaming my head off, he saw me from the doorway of the mm-hmm. club, and I slid behind the car. He ran out, snatched me up, threw me over his shoulder, ran into the door with me. Mm-hmm. They locked the doors, and then they're pulling my pants down because I'm like grabbing my leg, and they're trying to see where the bullet hole is. Mm. And it was with a brick. I had this bruise from hip to the top of my knee. Yeah, for over a month.
Yeah. So we're going to transition from talking about you, Mama, to talking about me and you. Me and you. So my first question is, what were your first thoughts when I told you that I wanted to do music? What were your first thoughts? Were you concerned about anything? Were you worried about anything?
I think my concern was because at this point, by that time when you made your interest known that you wanted to be singing, first of all, I was happy mm-hmm. because your grandma Julita and your uncles mm-hmm. and your dad, they got good voices. Mm-hmm. And they all sing. Yeah. I know my grandmother had an excellent voice. and on my side, and from what I have understood, my mom too. So when you told me that you were interested in being in a band and whatever, my concern was you singing these lyrics that I did not like.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, at that time, it was the be this, the H that, the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't want to hear that coming out of your mouth at that age.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think early on, I don't think I started cussing in music particularly until I got maybe closer to my mid-20s-ish. And I was more expressive on stage with cuss words as opposed to you know, in lyrics and stuff like that, because you know, I mean, it's no secret, you know, at that time there were some things I was going through personally and issue wise that, you know, a reflection of how I felt was a reflection of what I was listening to.
Which I had to understand, and in actuality, I had somebody, actually Mark, explained a few things to me back then when he was still with us, and he explained, and he had heard you singing that he didn't like. He was like, I don't like this. And I think he had a conversation with you about it, and then he came and he asked me if it was okay. But
I think I remember my early thought process on that whole thing was you sent my Uncle Terrence and my Uncle Maurice to kind of talk to me, and there was a little funny anecdote that I don't want to repeat, but they kind of had some questions for me about. I don't think it was the music, or I don't think it was the fact that I was into music. I think it was the fact of what kind of music I was listening to, and they had more questions of my mental as opposed to, okay, why are you doing this and whatnot. So, but with that being said, okay, what was your first thought when you heard exactly what I was listening to, like when I was listening to Korn or Slipknot or Limp Bizkit, which is kind of what I started with.
Concerned. Yeah, true. I got a little concerned because, like I said, some of the music was kind of dark. Some of it was kind of cool, but then I started reading lyrics. When I saw that I started reading lyrics, and I was like, oh, no.
I got to tell this story because there is actually this story. It makes me laugh every time. And I tell this quite a bit to people when I talk about like how I got into music and stuff like that. And I remember we were at the Best Buy at the Holyoke Mall, and I told you I wanted you to buy me. This was around 2001, and Slipknot had just dropped their second album, Iowa. And the first track on the song was People Equal Shit. And the look you gave me when I said that, you looked at me, you said, people equal what? You better not be singing this in the house. I just remember you just like, oh my God. Like,
oh my God.
You bought the record for me, but you were not happy about it. You were just like, people equal who?
No. And then, I had to, I was advised to let you express yourself. Your grandmother, actually, may she rest in peace, your grandmother actually was the one that I came and I told her. And she cracked me up because she said, oh, you should have heard the crap that Julito and Paito and Lolo and Manuel were listening to. It was like ridiculous. And
Dad tells a story about how he was at a friend's house and they were listening to Iron Maiden, and I guess this guy's grandmother came in and beat them over the head with a broom, screaming, the devil, the devil. The
devil. Yes, I remember that story. He told me that story. So it was funny because she was trying to she had a broom, those brooms with the yellowish ones, and she was beating all of them, talking about get the demons out of here and whatever. And then, but no, the first time, I think I was really in awe of your music the first time I went to your concert.
Yeah.
I would hear you sing around the house. And I would hear you sing around the house, and I would hear you had, yeah, it got to a point where I did get you your headphones and your, your CD player and whatever, and then it was the MP3 player and whatnot. But it was me making sure you had headphones. I said, if I don't hear it, I don't want to hear it. Listen to what you are. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. But then when, sometimes you would forget yourself and you would literally, I think, when we were in Florida, I kind of backed off a little bit more when I saw how serious you were about the music. Around 2006, was it, when you were in the band? And we had been in Florida for about a year now at that time. And you were like, Mom, so like, I'm in a band. I want to join this band. And rather, I think I joined it already, but and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, when you told me about that you guys going to be playing in that bar and this bar, I'm like, oh my God, my child's going to be an alcoholic.
Yeah.
No, but the first time that I literally went to one of your shows, I believe Gabby was with us visiting in Florida.
I think
was that the first time, I think?
Yeah,
and
I
you
think
were
so.
on that club on Beach Boulevard.
Oh yeah, the Pit. Yeah.
The Pit. Thank you, the Pit.
Okay, yeah. I want to say this was I think we were playing with a band called Emir and Abacap, so that would have been around early 2008ish or summer of 2008ish. I want to say, actually.
Because Gabby came down to spend 2 weeks with us, and that was the first time that you guys went ahead and that's not me.
No, it's my phone. Sorry about that.
And the first one, you had Gabby by yourself, and I was in hysterics, and Ashley.
I think we took her to Warped Tour. Yeah.
And that was the second summer. Yeah, I took her to Warped Tour the second summer.
Yeah.
And it was Mandy and Ashley and a whole bunch of you guys, and Tiffany.
Yeah.
All of you, but it was so funny because I found out when Gabby was telling me about her experience, how all your guy friends surrounded her. And she was in the middle, and she's like, they're making sure that nobody is moshing on top of her and whatnot. I remember that. She's trying to mosh, and they're just, you guys are all in a circle around her, not letting nobody come on and smush her or whatever.
Yeah, no.
And then the girls making sure that she was okay. I love them. I love all of your guy friends and your girlfriends for that. Not girls.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Friends that are girls.
But,
got it.
Yeah. And
so no, real quick, like, I mean, I don't know. There was a point in time where I feel like you were kind of put off by the whole situation of me being in music, and I understand it, because it was, at the time, there was a lot to what was going on with me, and I probably wasn't in the best state of mind sometimes, and then I was always kind of like all over the place with things and stuff like that, and I kind of like floated from moment to moment, but music kind of was just like that thing that kind of like, I
think it was the thing that kept you grounded, actually.
Yeah, I think so too. I'd like to say
I think just like with me, music was my escape.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time that the situation happened, okay, that moment in time, and then afterwards we lost Bob,
and
then afterwards we lost Mama. And then Grandpa for Mama, Mama's side. And then Mark, like a couple of weeks before us getting married and whatnot. And it was like, that's when you really, and then some other issues happening on top of that happened that I didn't find out until afterwards, which, like, all that rage, you were taking it out. And the lyrics, I really got worried when I found the notebook of the lyrics that you were when you went to where'd you go to school at, that you were away from home? Job Corps.
Yeah.
And I found a notebook with some lyrics, and I was like, I cried. I literally cried. But, you know, and I myself was, you know, talking with someone, and they gave me a little understanding. And I became a seriously praying mama. I
mean, you know, there's I don't know, there were some things there that, you know, but I mean, eventually at some point it just kind of, I mean, a lot of, especially now, you know, a lot of what I listen to kind of fuels who I am as a person and kind of fuels some of my desire. Like last episode that I had, I was talking about a band that kind of, I wouldn't say got me through situations, but I felt like definitely motivated me through situations. And I kind of learned the difference between, okay, just because it's loud and aggressive, what is it saying about me? What is it saying to me? What is it saying for me? You know, and that's kind of those things that as a person who likes that kind of music, even though it is loud and aggressive. And a few times in my life, people have challenged me on that opinion. Like, why do you listen to that angry music? What do you have to be angry about? And it's just like, it's not necessarily angry. It's just motivation. It's a mindset. It's something that no matter what, I will always continue to enjoy from the time I was, you know, 16 when I first discovered it to now as a 34-year-old with kids and a wife and a home and stuff like that I take care of. You know, I still love that music. It still carries me through a lot of different situations. Do I look on it differently? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You know, probably.
Yeah, I do know that one thing that really surprised you was to literally, and this one was something that when I knew that you were going to be okay, and that was that we actually got, because I don't know, you remember when you brought that whole bunch of dudes into my house from Ocala, that they had this, it was a youth minister, it was a whole show, and it was
I'm trying to remember the band. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And this is the beginning of Julian.
Yeah,
this is the beginning, just before Julian. So that group, then when I would hear you sing and I heard some of the lyrics, I was like, at first I couldn't understand it, and then it was like, wait a minute, I get it.
Yeah.
And that youth minister, he actually, you know, told me, he spoke with me for a few minutes that day when you guys went out to go get stuff for breakfast. He actually spoke with me for a few minutes, and I can say that I had a serious proud mama moment, but I knew that you were going to be okay. And like I said, I've always been. I
think that was the time I was booking shows, and I was bringing bands and offering our house as a place to crash. So my mom has actually got to hang out with some bands and some bands that were kind of coming up, and some bands that are still actually kind of going right now in different forms and stuff like that. But so my last question,
I miss a lot of those boys. Girls.
Yeah. So my last question for you is, do you wish I was into something else, or do you wish I was into a different music style?
No, because you wouldn't be who you are right now, and I'm proud of who you are right now. I am proud of the dad that you are. I am proud of the husband that you are. I am proud of the son that you are, and the big brother that you are. You know, I am proud of you as a man as a whole, because I know that you have seen the good side and the bad side. And I've seen how when you were able to cope with all that anger that you had and whatnot, and you've worked your way through it, and you got an awesome wife to thank for that as well, because she did help you through a lot of stuff. But
she did.
Like I said, she's remained steadfast in your life as a friend. for many, many years before she became your wife, you know, and now even more so when you guys started dating and she became your wife. I can see it now. But I am very proud of who you are. I wouldn't change anything. I would still be a praying mama. I still am a praying mama because I pray over all you guys.
Yes, ma'am.
It was awesome for me. Do you remember the time we were walking at the mall after you moved out from home?
Yeah.
And you had your own apartment. And I forgot who we got to babysit Julian for a few hours. And you and I went to the mall, and these kids walked up to you and said, "Do you know who you are?"
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yep. And you looked at me like I'm looking at you, and they were like so psyched up, and they went and they got markers so that you can sign their hats and stuff and whatnot. And I was like, wow, my son. And I didn't realize how well known you were in Florida, from Jacksonville down to Ocala and all these other places down that way. You were very well known, and it was pretty cool to see that. And when videos would go up on YouTube. So, no, I would not change one hair on your head. I would change the beard a little bit.
The beard a little bit. I did shave it down. You're over here giving me a hard time about my beard. But anyways, I appreciate hearing that, you know. Today's show was just kind of like just wanting to talk about like the journey of myself, but from your perspective. So I appreciate you giving me...
I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me the chance to kind of pick your brain about particular things. So
it's okay. You're a good son. Continue to be the good son that you are. Continue to be the good husband and dad and big brother that you are.
Yes, ma'am.
I know there are still some things going on that, you know, as a family we work through, and
but
you know,
it's a part of life.
But it's a part of life, and the thing is that when the going gets tough, we get tougher and we get together, and we back each other up. I said,
I think that's a perfect way to end this podcast. So thank you, Mama. I appreciate you coming on. And it says my time is running out anyways on Zoom.
Okay.
All right.
I love you.
Love you too, Mom. I'll talk to you later.
Bye, son.
Bye.
God bless everybody.
All right.